terrifying mystery and a bloody tragedy. Hannah listened to every word of Mr. Daines's story, sensing the fear and tension woven into the tale. She imagined Ash standing before the grave of his dog, the pain and obsession visible in his eyes, and shuddered at the thought of the tenants, unaware they were living in a horrific nightmare. And then, one day, everything reached its climax. Mr. Daines said, his voice dropping to a whisper. The mysterious voices in Ash's head grew clearer, urging him to commit terrible acts. This house, with all its mysteries and nightmares, turned Ash's life and that of the tenants into a living hell. Mr. Daines continued, his eyes darkening. One day, Ash began to hear a voice in his head, commanding him to kill everyone in the house. Strangely, when he left the house, the voice disappeared, but upon returning, it resumed, haunting and eerie. At first, Ash thought it was just an illusion, part of the stress and anxiety after the dog's death. But the voice grew louder, more threatening. Mr. Daines looked at Hannah, his eyes filled with terror as he recalled the horrific details. Day by day, the voice became stronger, impossible to resist. It no longer whispered, but screamed, as if it wanted to tear Ash's mind apart. Sleepless nights followed, with him hearing moaning and crying from the piano room, where the pianist had once been burned to death. Those sounds seemed to echo from the past, intertwined with the screams in his head, driving Ash to hallucinations. Hannah shivered, imagining Ash lying in bed, cold sweat trickling down his forehead, listening to the eerie sounds of the night. Mr. Daines continued, his voice lowering with gravity. Ash felt invisible eyes watching him. Every step he took was monitored by some supernatural force. Those eyes burned like fire, giving him no peace. Whenever he climbed the stairs, he sensed someone standing behind him, watching every move. Shadows flickered at the edge of his vision. Doors opened and closed on their own, signs of a terrifying presence. There were nights, Mr. Daines went on, his voice now a whisper, when Ash felt as if he were living in an endless nightmare. He heard malicious whispers, curses, and ghostly laughter. The images of the pianist's family, who had been burned alive, appeared in his dreams, a reminder that he couldn't escape his fate. Mr. Daines paused, giving Hannah time to absorb each detail of the story. She could feel the fear seeping from his words, as if she were living in the haunted house herself. The horrific imagery and haunting sounds of the story kept her eyes glued to Mr. Daines, waiting for what would come next. Mr. Daines took a deep breath, as if gathering strength to continue the terrifying story. Hannah felt the atmosphere grow heavier, thick with dread, as Mr. Daines pressed on. On Friday the 13th, Ash was fully under the voice's control. Mr. Daines began, his voice deep and heavy. He found a gun in the shed behind the house, buried in the basement. The gun was old, but still worked. The voice in his head urged him to pick up the gun and enter the house. Hannah felt as though she could sense every step Ash took, each one weighted with madness. Mr. Daines continued, his voice echoing as if from a distant realm. In his frenzy, Ash shot all the tenants on the first floor. The gunshots echoed through the night, mixing with the terrified screams of the victims. The smell of gunpowder, fresh blood, and the stench of death filled the air, creating a thick, oppressive atmosphere. Ash seemed mesmerized by the sound of the gunfire and the screams, as if they were part of the voice controlling him. Hannah could picture the scene: the dark house, flickering lights, deafening gunshots, and blood-curdling screams echoing throughout. Mr. Daines paused for a moment, allowing Hannah to fully grasp the horror of the tale. When the noise died down, Mr. Danes continued, his voice lowering. Ash felt an odd sense of relief, as if he had completed some mission. But at the same time, he was overwhelmed with terror. He saw the ghosts of the dead tenants in the darkness, their eyes filled with indescribable rage. Finally, he used the gun to end his own life. Hannah swallowed hard, feeling a weight pressing on her chest. She looked at Mr. Danes, whose gaze seemed distant, as if he were staring into the horrific past. After that horrifying event, Mr. Danes said, the house was sealed off, and no one dared to go near it for a long time. The locals whispered about gunshots and screams still echoing at night, even though the house had been abandoned. It became a symbol of terror and dread, a place no one wanted to set foot in. The memories of the pianist, the young owner, his dog, and the unfortunate victims lingered, making the house a perpetually dark and frightening place. Hannah could picture the house standing alone in the suburbs, the moon casting shadows over its smoke-stained walls, the windows blurred like the eyes of a monster watching passers-by. Mr. Danes took a deep breath before concluding the second story. The unfortunate tenants who were killed still roam the house, their souls unable to rest. Every night, their ghosts appear, reenacting the horrifying scene from that fateful night. The sound of gunfire, screams, and sobs echoes like a funeral dirge that never ends. A cold chill ran down Hannah's spine. She knew she had stepped into a horror story that was more than just a sensational tale. It was a journey into the darkest mysteries of the haunted house. Mr. Danes paused, his eyes gazing deep into the space before him, as if recalling the terrifying events he had just narrated. Hannah sat silently, her heart pounding in her chest. The air in the room felt suffocating, thick with tension and dread. Hannah looked at Mr. Danes, sensing that there was more to the story left untold. Slowly, her voice trembling with emotion, she asked, "Mr. Danes, is there more? Surely this house holds even more dark secrets." Mr. Danes turned to her, his eyes weary, yet strangely bright. He took a deep breath, then began to speak again, his voice slow and somber. "Miss Osborne, this house has witnessed more horrors than I've told you, but those two stories are the most terrifying. What I've shared with you isn't just ghostly tales. They are events that truly happened. Those who come here and stay face things that defy explanation. Some have lost their lives, some their minds, and others left, never to return. If you wish to hear more, I can tell you another story."